Hey everybody, it's Strict9 with Strict9 GP, and welcome to another episode of my Out of the Park Baseball 20 playthrough with the Phillies. We're on episode 5 now, off season of the 2038, going into the 2039 season. And I figured, like I've done in the past, I'm just going to start off with how the off-season awards went, including the playoff champions, which is the screen I'm on right now. And then we'll look at the team where we're at. We're right now just started free agency, so I'll let you see how some of the salary arbitration went, and look at where we stand with free agency in terms of money and the free agents available. And we've already got a few offers out there. So, and as I said last episode, some key things fell into place this offseason. We're in a really decent spot considering our budget for free agency this year, and pretty happy with the way things are starting out. But we'll get to that in a little bit later. First off, I want to start out with playoff history. And for the first time ever in this playthrough, a new team, made it to the World Series and won it, and that's the Cincinnati Reds. I started this playthrough with version 18, I believe, of Out of the Park Baseball in season 2017. So that's how long I've been going with this playthrough now, like 22 seasons or so. First time the Reds have made it to the World Series, so hats off to that. In my Out of the Park 19 GM Challenge series I did last year with the Reds, I was able to get them to the World Series in 2022 and win it in 2022. And actually, I ended that playthrough at that point because pretty much that was what I planned to prove, was whether I could get the Reds to the World Series and win it. But I played offline for several more seasons. I'm still playing with it off and on even now, and I was able to get the Reds back to the World Series and win it again exactly five seasons later. So I think the Reds have some good upside, but in this playthrough, for whatever reason, maybe because we started in 2016 with the 2017 season, they had a rough time of it. And if you look at the team, I think a lot of it may have to do with they picked up Alfredo Santana, who's one of the better offensive, I'd say top 5, top 10 at least, offensive players that I've seen in this playthrough, certainly with the kind of career numbers he's put up. He had a 6 wins above replacement season, did his typical thing for the most part. Average was off his career. He was off his career average quite a bit, but he has been in, that was the 3rd time he's won the World Series. So with, several different teams. So I think that was really a big bonus for the Reds getting this guy. And he's going to be with them again next year. He met his vesting option. I think he's going to get to career 100 wins above replacement, just 23 hits shy of 3,000. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, I think, no doubt. But that may have been one of the things that helped put them over the top. But they got some good young players too. Jim Kaufman, guy who hits, he's not young anymore. Heck, he's 34, but he's a pretty big power hitter. He's already almost to 400 in his relatively short career. But he came over from Cleveland. And then Woodbridge might be, he's a young prospect they developed, looks pretty good. Last offseason, though, Cincinnati was really active. They picked up Alfredo Santana. They picked up Woodbridge 2 years ago. Maybe that was in trade. They picked up Pete Parker from San Diego, one of the best free agent pitchers on the market last offseason. They picked him up. So they definitely went the route I'm hoping to kind of take in terms of small market team. They finally got an offseason where they had some money to spend. They spent it, and they made it to the World Series. Hope that's the model I'm hoping to go for this year, but we'll see. I might get close, but I definitely don't think I'll pick up a player of Santana's caliber. Pitching, jury's still out. Pete Parker looks pretty good, but I do have an offer out for a very good pitcher right now. And then I won't go too in depth on the end of season awards Phillies were just really shut out of everything. We didn't have any Gold Gloves. No, I think the relievers. Mendoza did get some votes. I mean, he picked up 40 saves. It was probably his best years. Well, it was his best years as a closer. I do think this guy's really turning into a very sure thing as a closer in this league, but that may have been one of the only even vote totals. I don't think we got anything for MVP, and that was a lot of that was because Gordon was out. But in the American League, it went to Jeremy Myers, a new guy who, when I looked at this guy early in the season, I thought he had a chance because he's really got the kind of the ratings that do really well in this game. All of his basic ratings, his contact power, gap power, those things look great. He's a 5-star overall. He's got good speed, plays a high-profile position in center field, and he's great defense. He even won a Gold Glove a few years ago as a center fielder, but he had a good. I have seen more dominant years from guys like Brandon Kinsler, I think, who's in this playthrough, and a few others, but he did put together a really good, solid year to get his first MVP. And then Kinsler, he finished like 4th. He had another, subpar year for him, but it was still productive. And then in the National League, it went to another new guy, Josh Atkins, who's been, and I say new in terms of MVP award, he's been around for a while in this league. He's a really good overall player. Finally got his due, I think. Like you look at this year he had in 2033, I mean, that was a great overall season for him. Probably his best year so far, but last year he led the league in batting average, slugging, OPS, had a good wins above replacement. So he won it out over Juan Ramirez, a few other guys. Santana did get some votes there, Kaufman from Cincinnati. And then in the, let's see, I skipped over it, but here it is. The Cy Young, Rocky Stroman, once again, unanimous. Cy Young, 4th time he's won it. This was a career high for him, and no, it wasn't. He has had over 18 wins before. So he led the league in wins, innings, wins above replacement. Solid year for him. Still don't know how this guy's numbers are going to stack up when he retires. He's signed for quite a few more years if Minnesota keeps him. What is that? At least 4 seasons before that option comes up. But I don't know if he'll be able to get to, say, 200 wins. That's becoming harder and harder to do with the modern settings in this game. Modern settings that reflect how modern baseball is become. We're reliance on more and more reliance on relievers and starters really not able to go in a lot of cases into 5 innings to get to the decision. So it's going to be tough for a guy like this to reach that kind of milestone. He doesn't strike out a whole lot of people. I mean, he's only had a couple seasons, last year included, where he had over 200. So he's probably not going to get into that 3,000 strikeout territory. So I don't know. I don't know how his numbers are going to stack up in terms of the Hall of Fame when he retires, but he has had a good run in this playthrough. And then Magoya, good pitcher for Atlanta, led the league in ERA and wins above replacement. Only 13 wins, though. That happens a lot. Just like I was talking about, it's hard to get those decisions. Cincinnati had a couple guys. Chris Gentry, who's another good, he's a reliever. He had a sensational year for Atlanta. No, here it is, Zach Hacker. He's another decent starting pitcher, but he only got 12 wins as well. But Atlanta's got a pretty good balanced rotation there. I wish I had some of those guys on my pitching staff. But that's how the offseason awards went. In terms of what we what arbitration looked like for us. That's where it got kind of interesting. And I mentioned it in that last episode. There were two things that had to fall into place, and they kind of did. I'm going to go look at the offseason center just to show you. I think it might give us a better graphic of what I'm talking about. When you look at the players that we lost, J.J. Lohman was at his option year. He was getting, $18.9 million, I think. And he decided to exercise that option, which I was kind of hoping that he would and thought that he would. So that was automatically $18+ million freed up for me. It did turn out to be one of the other questions that I was going over last episode, was whether this was really Vargas's team option year, and it was. So I decided to let him go. So that saved me $12+ million. I think it's 12.5. And then I couldn't trade him. I was hoping I could, but Dusty Stern decided to let him go as well. He was making way too much money in arbitration based on the kind of player he is. I mean, he's a backup at best. Last year was a very off year for him, and wasn't worth $5 million that I was paying him. So his budget saved quite a bit of money there too, which all led to me having, I think it was $38 million to play with for free agency. And so I went ahead and looked through the free agents already. And it's basically, if you look at the players that I lost Bowman at third. So I've got an offer out here for this guy who's, in some ways, he's several years younger than Bowman, especially against righties. He's going to give you some, I think, fairly decent numbers comparable to what Bowman would give me, but he's about a third of the cost. He's a good defensive third baseman, can play several positions if I got injuries going on. He's got great personality ratings. So I've got an offer out for him that he currently, I think, favors. Let me make sure. No, it's pending. $20 million for 3 years. I think he would be a good pickup. He's also got some good speed. And then this is a 2.5-star center fielder. He's got much better range and arm and position ratings than Vargas had. He's got great speed, great individual ratings and contact, gap power, avoiding Ks. He's coming to maybe the end of his prime productive years, but I still think he could still be a starter in the league, definitely better than Vargas. And I thought, I think it was just over $6 million a year for 3 years. I think that's a good pickup if I can get that. The big one though is going to be Nate McAvee, who is a 4.5-star potential pitcher. Although 28, he's probably about to the level he's going to get. But that's from OSA. He's 4 stars, so 4-star potential and overall right now. He's got 3 great pitches, dominant fastball. Love the control and stuff mix he's got. So this is a 20 scale, 19 out of 20 stuff, 15 to 16 control out of 20. And that's both my scout and OSA. Movement, my scout likes that a little bit better. I look at what he's done in the last 5 seasons or so. Not dominant by any means, but 4.9, 3.23. Pretty much he's averaging 3 to 4 wins above replacement a year. He's listed as fragile, which is something I typically try to stay away from, but then I look, the last 5 seasons he's hit 32 or above in starts every year. So maybe it was whatever gave him that injury proneness rating. Hopefully that was a long time ago. If I look at his injury history, he hasn't had a major injury since 2033, which more than likely this is what gave him that injury prone rating of fragile, because This was a surgery to remove bone chips. He was out 5 months. But that was before really his run started, his 2033. That was about when he was maturing into a major leaguer. So, 200 plus strikeouts every year for the last 4 years. I think this guy can lead the staff, and he is by far the best starting pitcher available. Well, in my opinion, Zach Owenby, he's at the end of his career, I think. His controls is sketchy, and he's a dominant pitcher. I don't know. I just think that if I were to offer him what he's wanting, I mean, I don't want to offer him a long-term contract. I think of the two, McAvee is really by far the better investment at this point. So I went for it, and that's still leaving me, a little bit of money to play around with if these fall through, like $23 million. But I'm going to go ahead and send ahead just to see what it looks like in terms of how they favor or not favor these offers. I expect McAvee might turn into a little bit of a bidding war, but hey, I was wrong. So we're going to have a number one, certainly a number two caliber starter in this rotation next year. Let me go ahead and look through some of the news. So the Yankees went after OMB. $26.8 million. I knew he was probably going to go quick, but I still think I got the better, I hate to say bargain, because I don't think either one of them are a bargain, but I think I got the better value of those two pitchers. So compensation, so it will be, we'll lose that first round pick. That's fine. Our fan interest is amazing. That's cool. Players are excited to get him. So that was another thing. I mean, he was, he was seen as a leader in the clubhouse. So, gosh, and also, I've still got Gordon taking up the salary, a pretty high salary this year. So Gordon's making $20 million. He's got a player option. He'll probably go for it. So it helped even that McAvee was willing to go pretty low these first couple years of this contract. So that's going to help me out in terms of budgeting even better. I mean, right now we have and that's without the two free agent offers we still got out there, but we haven't even reached $100 million in player payroll yet. I'm really excited about that. I think that was a good, knock on wood. I mean, injuries can happen, but I really think that was a good one. And now here we have Brandon Kinsler going to Atlanta. So it's not going to get any easier for sure. Atlanta, they've got that great pitching staff we've already talked about. Now they're going to have one of the best players in the game. And they signed him to 3 years. I didn't figure he was getting $50+ million, the highest contract I've ever seen in this game with Oakland. And didn't think he was going to get that again, but 3 years, what is that, 28 or so million? 30 years, 30 million a year average. I don't know if he's got that much life left in him, but he's at 5 stars right now, and these usually you typically don't see that age effect. You don't. Well, I'll say it this way: when you start noticing these ratings, whichever you're using, and again, I'm on the 20 scale. So when you start seeing things like, okay, his contact is current is 12 out of 17 potential. Gap power might be 14 out of 18, something like that. When there starts to be a gap between the current and potential, usually you're seeing a guy when he's at this age, 35 or in his 30s, you're seeing a guy who's going to soon start declining in performance and ratings. Conversely, on the other side, if you got a young guy coming up and you see that, I mean, that's when it's a good thing. If you've got guys showing 12 contact, but he's got a 17 potential and he's 22, he's got a good chance to be a major superstar in the game. But Kinsler, I think, is probably going to be still an impact type player for Atlanta this year. But I'm going to go ahead and take care of, well, I didn't mean to do that. I'm going to put McAfee back in there, and he's going to be the number one starter. There's no question. Now, that's going to, probably shake things up a little bit. I don't know if I'm going to want Barbarossa in there or Lugo, but we'll have to see. I'll probably, for the, I've got Kurt Hines back as well. McAfee's probably going to be in there for, we'll just say Barbarossa for right now. All right, so let's go up to the winter meetings. Hopefully I'll start hearing from these other two in a moment. Andy Padgett, he was a former Philly. Still, man, he's coming off a pretty good couple of seasons here with Arizona. Did I trade him away? Let's see. Yeah, I traded him for Kurt Hines, but he's turned out to be a pretty good reliever there. And Milwaukee signs Mike Swan, $18 million. I just could not. I couldn't bring myself to make that offer. This guy's a good player, but I don't think he's $18.6 million. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, you see what he did for us. What was that? The 2.5 seasons he was with us. I mean, he was not even two, really. We got him mid-season in 2036. He looked great there. He had a good 2037 in some ways. Led the league in stolen bases, 98 runs. His defense is solid, but he's yet to get a Gold Glove. So, I don't know what's making him an $18.6 million player at this point. I'm just not seeing it personally. Still got a trade proposal here. Ben Felton for Van Singel, who I wound up keeping on the team mainly for his leadership. But this guy, I don't know. He had a really off year last year. And I don't know if it's really a good idea to keep him in that lineup, even on the bench. But they want a good prospect in Jones. Well, at least my scout thinks he's a good prospect. And this guy's terrible. A 1 rating at third base. I couldn't play him. Okay, so we'll reject that trade. So active career batting leaders. This is slugging percentage, yeah. So Atkins, who MVP last year, he is .570 career slugging. That's pretty good. Juan Renaga wound up missing most of last season, and I've talked about this a few times already. It sucks to see it. This guy's a 4-time MVP. He's 26 years old, not quite 27. Just an amazing player from the ratings perspective. Would probably put up numbers like few players in the history of this game have ever put up. I'm almost positive he's going to wind up being injury prone for the rest of his career. I think they even signed him. Yeah, they signed him to a fairly long-term contract. I don't know. I mean, it's a gamble you have to take because when they signed him, I mean, he is coming off a really great streak of years there, but a couple seasons here, 2035 and now last year, he was really injured considerable amount of time. I'm almost positive now he's going to be injury prone the rest of his career. All right, so keep Semin, try to get to the winter meetings. Wow, Wow, that's a weird injury. Now, this guy should be on the DL. Yeah, you can't put it on the offseason. So Mike Peterson, the third baseman, he's got some good numbers, but man, he's wrecked. I don't think I would want to go for that. Juan Barrera is a international free agent. Not a bad signing for Washington. $7.7 million for 3 years. That's not too bad. Let me see what else is out there. Now these guys are still pending. I wish they would at least give me some indication of what they think. In terms of center fielders, Luvia is still out there, but he's not going to play center field. Steve Vine, I really like this guy. I'm hoping I can get him because I think he's the best player out there. LeChance is maybe not too bad. Bert Nyman, he's pretty good, but not at center. He would be a good guy coming off the bench in some ways. And then, of course, Vargas. Still mulling whether I want to try him at left in some kind of platoon situation. I've got Portillo, who had an off year last year, but I still think he's got some upside. I hope he'll turn it around next year. All right, so still going to the winter meetings. And it looks like we're about to hear from these guys on their contracts. So Villa went to Colorado for $15.6 million for 4 years, fourth year vesting option. Okay, Jonathan Larkhart. Okay, so far, we've given him the best offer, and looks like we've got the best offer out there for Bond. Here's a trade proposal for Ian Norman. No way. So I'm wondering if I should go back here then and look at who's left. Braden Krause, he's fragile. He's wanting a lot of money. Juan Flores, he's wrecked. He's wanting a lot of money. Luna, wrecked. Mike Musoff, wrecked. Luis Castillo, he's an Iron Man, but he's wanting a lot of money. He's got great personality ratings. I don't think he's had that great of a career. Nothing really spectacular anyway. I think barring injury, I think we can make this pitching staff work, honestly. Mayhew, Hines, Dion, Contreras, that's probably the five I'm leaning towards with McAvee. Yeah, I've got Romero, he's another guy who's looked good at just about every stop in the minors so far. He could potentially make it the third if I don't sign this guy I'm looking for. All right, so let's keep going. I don't know if I want to trade anybody right now. I really just want to make these free agent signings, and got another trade proposal here. Here's Espinal signing with St. Louis. Just a 1 year contract, $11.3 million though. As a starter, he's a 3-star, but he's only got 2 good pitches, and his stamina is only 8 innings. He's not going to give you. I mean, he averaged just at 5 innings a start for the Angels last year. That was a struggle I had with him. He was drafted as a starter, but he just could not give me the innings. He was way better in the relief. So Jamie Deal, decent starting pitcher. So now we got a trade proposal. No, I can't do this. And They're wanting Josh Gordon for Wally Kuhn. Kuhn's coming off a decent year. I think he won a Gold Glove, if I'm not mistaken. A good year for him, but he's still fragile, and he's a little bit more money than Gordon. I'd rather have Gordon. All right, come on. We need to sign these two guys. I feel like I'm kind of in limbo. Another trade proposal from the Twins, a catcher for Patillo. Pretty decent offensive catcher, but no way do I want that guy's defense on my team. Mike Shirtliff. Pretty big contract. Well, $6.8 million. So now, do I need to jump back in here and see what's going on with all outfielders? Steve Bond's still out there. Still favors the offer. Vargas, he still wants to be a starter. He can only play left field at this point. And I think Portillo's the guy there. So I'm not going to, my heart's saying, hey, let's bring Vargas back for one more year. I know the fans would love it, but if I can't bring him off the bench, and you really can only bring him off the bench at left field. So if I can't do that, I don't think he's going to be any value unless he's a starter, and he's not going to be a starter. So I'm not really seeing too many others. Here's another one who wants to be in the starting lineup, wanting $6 million. His personality ratings were terrible. All right, so let me look at relievers. I think when it comes to relievers, I've got Mendoza solid. Scott looks good. I've got some good young guys. Condeshera, Barbarossa now, if he's going to be in the bullpen. I wouldn't mind, one maybe a stopper type pitcher. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Bobby Buchanan, fragile. Mike Morrison. Now he's a lefty. 3 stars. Coming off a decent year. Two really good years in a row. He was a closer for Minnesota a few years ago. I wonder what he would go for. 2.3. I'll take it. I know I've kind of been burned by some of the relievers I've tried to sign the last few years. Matt Harris, another good looking reliever. But I'll try it again. Let's go up to the Rule 5 draft. I'm really hoping that we can sign these guys before we get too deep into the offseason. Those are the two that I want. Lockhart, I think, is the best value at third out there, and Bond, for sure, is the best value I see at center. All right, so there's some Zion Swarm goes to Detroit. Not really a bad contract for Detroit. So now we got the Rule 5 draft. I'm going to look at this draft pool. This is what I always do. It takes a little bit of time. I know I've seen some playthroughs online where some guys have a little bit different way of handling it, but I just look at, I look at the draft pool, sort it by team so that I can look at each of my minor league teams to make sure there's nobody out there. So we're going to be starting. We got Lehigh Valley. I think, I have to look at this every time. Reading, Clearwater, Lakewood. All right, so Clearwater and Lakewood. Let me go ahead and take a look at them. And usually anything below there, I'm not going to put those guys on the 40-man roster to protect them. So nothing really in Clearwater to worry about. Lakewood. Was it Lakewood or Lakeland? Lakewood. All right. So Lakewood and then Lehigh Valley. So Lakewood, I've been doing a pretty decent job at protecting these guys. Now Zach Thompson, wow. He's a guy drafted in the 8th round a few years ago. My scout thinks a lot of him. He's not ready for the majors, but he's got a chance. I like that stamina and those 3 pitches already at 22 in high A. I think that's where he is. No, he's at low A. He might almost be ready for high A at this point. Let me see if I've got... I think I created a short list of prospects. I'm going to add him to the Phillies prospects just so I can keep an eye on him. Hopefully I won't lose him in this draft here. So now we got Lehigh Valley. Yeah, Juan Romero. I'm going to put him on the 40 because I don't want to lose him. And then the rest I can handle. Jamie Goff might be the best. He's a 2-star. Could fill in for injuries. Had a good year at Reading, but he honestly, I could see him being taken by somebody who needs pitching help that bad. And then the last one I'll look at is Reading, AA. And then after Reading, we'll go ahead and see what's available in the draft. I may not pick up anybody. If I got some infield help, good backup shortstop, I might take that pick. Pitching, of course, I'm always looking for pitching. But it would have to be somebody pretty solid because, of course, with Rule 5, they have to stay on your roster, in your active roster the whole time. You can't wave them back and forth to the minors if you need to. So I don't want to necessarily waste the pick. So at Reading, I got a couple guys here. Villalobos, who I do have on my short list. The guy's a really good defensive outfielder at several positions. Looked good his last couple stops in the minors. But I'm just not ready to put this guy on my 40. So if I lose him, that'd be a pretty big blow prospect-wise. But, I do have the room, but I just don't want to put him on there. I've also got Benefield, who he's not on there yet, but he's another good prospect, better than Villalobos and Jones. I got some decent guys in the outfield. Hopefully I won't lose them. But let's go ahead and go through the draft. We would be picking 13th. So idle draft until we pick. I've noticed the Rule 5 draft's been a little bit slower than with this version than I've noticed in past versions. So I'm going to look first at batters and batting ratings. I don't really go by potential when it comes to Rule 5. I want guys who are able to play right away. So we got Bobby Tanner here. I'm not a big fan of his personality ratings. I do like the basic ratings, but he's never played much above AA, so I don't think I want to risk that. Joe Bowler, not a good defensive player. So I'm not really seeing anything here. A lot of first basemen, but nobody I don't think that's really going to help this team this season, which is what we need. All right, so now let's look at pitchers. Some 2.5-star guys, and I'm already pretty full up on 2.5-star pitchers, so I can just go ahead and move on from this one. I don't see a need to pick up any of these guys. All right, so I'm gonna sim ahead a little bit longer. Don't want to keep the episode kind of drowning and just waiting for those two guys to sign. I think that's where I'm at. I'm just, if I get those two guys or if I don't, that's going to decide the rest of the offseason for me. It's going to really decide next season. So I want to go ahead and let's see how far we have to sim ahead before we find out anything. So we got it. So we did get the two guys that we wanted. Jonathan Lockhart, third base. He's going to take over from Bowman, and I'm hoping that he's going to be. He might even be an improvement over Bowen at this point, or Bowman. Still a little bit younger. Love his leadership and defense, so I like that signing. We got Steve Bond. Players already appreciate his leadership. Captain material. I mean, I don't even know. This also allows me, I think, if I'm looking at the team chemistry, we're happy overall. That's really good. We have two captains, McAvee, Van Single. We have several leader type personalities on the team. Good stuff, really. But Van Single has been a captain. I don't know how big a hit we would take to morale if it's that big. I still think it's it's coded into the system for a reason. So I do think that it plays a part in things like how the guys are going to play, how the team's going to play. But now that I've picked up these guys I've picked up, if I need to bench or send Van Single back to the minors or even drop him, get rid of him, I don't think I'll take that big a hit from his leadership. So that's another plus of the guys that I've signed. So I think we're looking pretty close to how we're going to be going into this next season. I think that was a big improvement pitching wise. And I think those are the two guys that are going to help us, I think, the most of anybody that was out there. And I've still got Cochran, who I can plug into first, for Gordon. If Gordon's injured, hopefully he won't be injured again. But I can trade Cochran. And I haven't really checked what he would bring me in a while. But, I've really liked having his bat in the lineup. I mean, gosh, 2 seasons ago, he hit 351 coming off the bench. That's good to have. I still feel like, shortstop still worries me a little bit, but this guy is solid defensively, and there's just nobody out there. There's really, for the last few seasons, there's been no one really, although Perez is out there. He's fragile, however. I really like this guy. If you're a long-term watcher of the series, he was with the Phillies several years ago, and I really was hoping that I could keep him. He had 2 really good seasons, defensively, offensively. He got injured, though, in 2034. I guess in the spring training, missed all of 2034. And then in the offseason, he was fragile, and he wanted a lot of money, and I decided not to go for him. But this guy is probably been... I'd have to go back a while to find a better shortstop that we've had on the team. Even I would rate him over Swan based on the performance he had on the team. So, this could be the final piece of the puzzle right here. I think I'm going to go for this one too. He's won 3 years. I can't do that. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna work on this one offline. So we still got the one out on Morrison out there, but it's great to have money. We still got 21 million left for free agents, so we definitely got the money to make a deal for Perez. I just don't want to go 3 years on this guy when he's 39 years old and he's coming off missing half a season, but he's still rated pretty highly. I think he could give me one more good year. Man, I would love to have him on this team. So that's what I'm going to work on offline. Even though Atlanta made some big pickups, at least they got Kinsler. A guy like Perez, if he plays the way he played, say, 2 years ago with Texas, certainly the way he played for us the 2 years we had him, wow, that add him to the mix we've already got, I think we would be a really solid team next year. But I got to really weigh his age at 39 and a long-term contract, well, 3-year contract. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this episode, just going through the off season. I'm pretty excited about the team now. I think we've got a chance to build something again here, at least next year, if not a little bit further ahead. And I'm feeling at least better than I felt in several years. But I'll send offline until spring training, and that's where I'll come back. I'm going to see what I can do. I would love to add something there at short. So that's what I'm going to be focused on for the rest of the off season, and then come back and I'll sim ahead through spring and see how we look and get ready for hopefully finally a playoff year next year. But as always, thanks for watching, liking, subscribing. Appreciate the comments, and I'll see you next episode.